WHOWdailynews.com to get the local information you need to know.
Your friend in Central Illinois. WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest in studio this morning is Tony Harris, City Administrator for the City of Clinton. We follow up the Tuesday night Clinton City Council meeting. Good morning, Tony. How are you?
Good morning, Seth. I'm doing great. How about you?
Doing well. Thanks for asking. Thanks
Good.
for making time for us as always.
No
And
problem.
yeah, glad to have you in after another meeting of the Clinton City Council. And I wish I could have been at this one, Tony, because I know you heard from the TIF consultant. That was something you were looking forward to when we spoke earlier this month, or was it? Yeah, earlier this month.
Yeah.
And time goes by too fast.
It does.
It does. But anyways, what exactly was this presentation about? Why was it made? How about some of those things?
Okay, yeah. Last night we had in Gwen Crawford, and she is with the Economic Development Group, LTD.
Mhm.
They are located in Bloomington. That office specializes in TIF and economic development, and they have a couple of attorneys on staff too that's going to help through this process. But basically, as I mentioned last time I was in, we felt the city felt that we need to hire a TIF consultant. We have two current TIF. Well, we have one TIF that just expired last year that we have to close out this year. It's for taxes to 2025 payable 2026. And that consultant's going to help us close that one out and then help us administer the current TIF, the downtown TIF 4. It's not just downtown, but I call it downtown TIF because that's basically what what it's used for. But then it also goes off the square down South Center on the east side of the road, and then up north a little bit.
Okay.
So the goal was to bring that consultant, that firm on board to help us with those two TIFs. But not only that, to take it a step farther, as I mentioned earlier this month, on creating some new TIFs. So we have a couple of goals in mind. We've already had that discussion to create those new TIFs. We had a meeting with the group. I had a map planned out as the areas. That's what I was supposed to do, is come up with a TIF boundary. Had a map planned out, but it was an aggressive TIF. It was two of them. It encompassed a good part of the city, and they felt that was, to start off with, was too large. So we've scaled it back a little bit. I made a map of some of the current growth area that we're seeing, some of the businesses that's contacted me, some of the developers that have contacted me, which has been several housing developers, business development of different areas of the city that they've contacted me about. So hopefully we'll try to build that TIF district around those, and also some areas of the city that need some housing attention too. As I mentioned, earlier in the month, that we want economic growth, but not just businesses. We want to see residential growth as well, and we want to give provide some assistance to struggling homeowners that might need some help with their homes, fixing it up.
Sure.
And that goes right along with what the mayor's been talking about with the block by block program, just helping to get homes cleaned up for people that can't get out to do that. Then we're going to be providing some assistance. So we have a lot of things coming up with TIF, block by block, in the next fiscal year that starts May 1st. But the first step was to bring the consultant in and start with the current TIFs that we already have. So that was the goal there.
Yeah. Well, and let's revisit that block by block program when we're maybe on that side of the break. But to the TIF point, was there a lot of technical talk about the difference between maybe a residential TIF, a business TIF, those sorts of things?
It is different. It's the same TIF. It's the same TIF district, the same TIF boundary. The agreements are different, whether it's business or residential, but it's not a whole lot different. And in the TIF district, the way it's funded, it's the exact same thing. And I do want to point out, because I want to make sure that this is clarified. A TIF district, and even going forward with these new TIF agreements, TIF boundaries, this is not a tax. This is not a TIF district does not increase a person's tax to fund the TIF district. This simply freezes the tax at a certain point when we create this. The taxes, as we see development, the taxes for the development continue to increase for like a business. If we bring a business in,
Mhm.
say we bring a business in on a farm ground, that farm ground tax is minimal, not a whole
Mhm.
lot. But once you bring a business in, that increases the value on that parcel.
Mhm.
That value goes into a fund, and that's the TIF fund, and that's what pays for economic development, and that's
Mm.
what's going to pay for this new thought of residential
Mm.
grants to help fix up homes.
Have
So
you gotten a lot of questions on that or confusion on that?
there has been, yes.
Yeah.
And speaking with the TIF consultant after the meeting last night, she was given an example of another town. I think she said they work with 250 communities to assist with
Wow.
TIFs, and
Mhm.
they're working one that's got a lot of negativity going around, false information going around on Facebook about the TIF, and that it's gonna increase your taxes. So that's what we don't want to see. We want people to be educated, and the plan is
Well,
to
now,
have
Tony, if they're going to Facebook, obviously they're educated. We
Yeah,
all
they-
know the most accurate
if it's
information
on
comes.
Facebook, it's right.
It's
right?
got to be right.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
well, wrong, it's not. But that's what we're trying to avoid, and we do plan on having a couple of meetings with where we can educate the public on this TIF and just
Mhm.
show how successful that it can be, and it's
Mhm.
going to be in the future. And I
Mhm.
mentioned last night at the meeting, if you look at Illini Drive, from Main Street all the way south to Kleeman Road, that area of the new junior high, the elementary school, the new subdivision,
Mhm.
the nursing home,
Mhm.
all that area was undeveloped. It was basically farm ground. Because of the TIF and how successful that was, we have what we have there. So, I mentioned that at
That's
the
a
meeting
main
last
corridor
night.
in a way.
It is, and I mentioned that at the meeting last night, and that goes to show you that's a prime example of how successful these TIFs can be.
Mhm.
Now, the downtown TIF 4, now that TIF I just mentioned just expired,
Mhm.
and that's what we have to close that one out this year. But the plan is to revisit that area because I can't get into
With the housing development going on there, I feel like it'd be silly not to reestablish a TIF there.
Right. Not the entire area, but some
Mhm.
areas that we want to see continued growth.
Mhm.
There's some empty lots out there.
Yeah, sure.
By the Sunset End, that
Mhm.
area.
Mhm.
There's still some lots at the south end there of Illini Drive that we
Mhm.
would like to see developed. And we've had a lot of calls on those
Mm.
with business opportunity. And
Mm.
that's when I say we receive calls, receive calls from business owners or investors looking at doing something out in that area.
Mhm.
But the first question they ask me, Mr. Harris, do you have any TIF districts in the area? Well,
Mhm.
unfortunately, the one just expired. So
Mhm.
so that's the incentive to get busy and get a new one there. And that's, like I said, that's the first question they ask because they need that TIF district in place to fund their new business opportunity.
Sure,
So that's
sure.
one reason why we're doing this, and that's the very first step. And when I mentioned earlier that I like to see a larger TIF in Clinton, I think we'll get there. This
Mhm.
TIF, we will grow on this TIF once we get it in place this year.
Mhm.
We can add to it.
Mhm.
But we have to get it going relatively quickly because of the growth that we expect to see. And
Sure.
these businesses that have reached out to me, they're like, Mr. Harris, we need to get this going immediately. We're ready to do something.
Wow.
So we need to get the TIF going and in place by the end of summer, and that's aggressive. But
Wow.
we hope that we can do it. So that's why we have to keep it more of a smaller area, but again, encompass some of the residential area too, so we can help there.
Yeah. Again, Tony Harris, City Administrator, our guest in studio for this morning. I'm coming at this from kind of a tongue-in-cheek perspective, but why is it so complicated that you need the end of the summer? Couldn't you just look at a city map, say, okay, we're gonna cover these roads, this area. Okay, that's a TIF, and we vote on it, and it's in place. What is the process to get to that end of summer timeline you're talking about?
That's a good question. It's not that simple. I wish it was. If it was that simple, we wouldn't have to hire a consultant, because there are state statute TIF laws in place that we
Mhm.
have to abide by.
Mhm.
That you can't just say we want a TIF district here. It has to meet a certain set of rules. There
Mhm.
has to be in a blighted area. It has to be in an area where there's empty buildings or old buildings, the age of the buildings.
Mhm.
And I don't have that entire list in front of me, but there's a set of guidelines, a set of rules that must be in place when we create that TIF district. And then it
Mhm.
also has to the state has to okay it as well. So it's not just as simple as taking it before city council and say, yes, they approve it and we're going to put it in place. So there is a good deal of work with the state that goes along with it as well.
Sure.
But that's a good question.
Yeah. Well, okay. So then the residential piece of this, like, do you have areas of the city that you want to see develop for residential? Where like, are you able to say where that is? How about some of those things?
Well, yes, I mean, I can answer that question in two parts. We want to see residential growth, new subdivisions, new houses going up. But again, we also want to see, some of the areas in Clinton, and there's a lot of them that need some attention, need some help with cleanup or siding, things like that. So we are talking to a developer now. I can't get into a lot of details, but on the east side of the city, over around North Street, there's been some discussion of an investor putting in a starter home subdivision. So that's in the very early stages. They are communicating with the landowner, trying to purchase that. In the very early stages, I'm hoping that works out. But if not, the city is being very aggressive, along with DCDC, Kurt Homan. We're working together, being very aggressive and trying to identify land. So basically, the city's not buying the land. What we're trying to do is find land that can be developed either through commercial or residential, and then get the investors together, and they can work out the deal with the landowner. So that's kind of how that works out. And it's kind of a challenge just trying to find land. But me talking like this at the radio station here, that's what spurred some of the phone calls that I've received, like, hey, Tony, I've got some land that's available. And then I jot those down, and then we try to connect the investor with the owner of the land. And that's exactly what happened with this new housing that I'm talking about. That's what happened with that. I was contacted by the landowner, put him in contact with the developer, and it's in the very early stages.
This might be putting the cart before the horse. Will you have to annex areas into the city?
Some areas that we have identified, we do have to annex, and we've already started some of that talk of annexation. Some areas we already have in the city.
Are you allowed to say where?
No, I can't right now. It's that actually that conversation just happened 2 days ago. So it's on the west side. You've heard me mention this before. Where we want to see growth within the city is on that west side, Kleeman Drive, U.S. Highway 51 area, across the highway.
Yeah, you developed all of that. Not you per se, but the city developed all of that a while back.
The infrastructure is there, sewer and water is
there, that's what I mean.
Right across the highway, so it's right there. It's able to be hooked into. So it's there and it's ready to go. That's where, and that's part of the comprehensive plan that was developed back a long time ago, back in the late 80s. That's where we identified, the city identified potential growth back then. And we put everything out there through the state helped us with a grant that was under Tim Followell's leadership back then. And so it's there and it's ready to go. And we're hoping that we can get some activity out there.
I asked Kurt this the other day. He was in Kurt Holman, DCDC. How fired up are you right now about what's going on at City Hall with the city of Clinton? How excited are you, Tony?
It's very exciting. It really is, and I mentioned to you off the air just a little bit ago that the partnership that the city has with DCDC, Kurt, and the county too. I mean, when Myers contacted me, the new manufacturing business, that was late in the day, and the next morning we had a meeting with myself, Kurt, a couple county board members. I mean, we worked together to plan a meeting and brought them in. That's exciting. And I know Kurt's very excited. We keep talking about this, it's very exciting when you see what's going on in the city of Clinton. And with the quick wall and Myers, Kurt and I, we were just talking the other day, and the power plant deal with Meta. Those three things spurred a lot of this. But what we have to do, we have to capitalize on that.
Mhm.
We recognize that's growth. Now we need to start contacting some businesses that we know of, restaurants, those type of things, housing developers, and say, you might want to look at Clinton because we have these 3 things that just announced. So you identify some businesses, manufacturing businesses coming in, and the deal with Meta, and then you contact these other places. Do you see what's going on in Clinton? And then they look at it,
Mhm.
and then they want to be part of it.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
not only that, local developers, local builders, they're hearing me on this radio station talking
Mhm.
about housing, and they've contacted me like, hey,
Mhm.
Tony, we want to be part of this. First question they ask, is it in a TIF district?
Mm.
So I've had local builders, several of them reach out to me
Mm.
asking about this. They're excited. They want to be
Mhm.
part of it as
Mhm.
well. So
Yeah.
yes, it's very exciting. Kurt and I are both excited, but it's not just us. I had another business just off the square reach out to me last week, and she said, "Hey, heard you on the radio. That's exciting stuff going on in the city of Clinton." So
Mhm.
people are paying attention and they want to be part of it.
Sure.
And it's very exciting.
Very good. Well, on that note, let's take a break, Tony. Come back with some more. Tony Harris, Clinton City Administrator, our guest in studio. More to come with Tony on the morning show.
WHOW.
.org.
Let's check the markets now on the RFD Radio Network. I'm Jim Taylor. Corn, beans, and Chicago wheat all higher at this hour. March corn up half a penny, 4.26 3/4. May corn up a penny, 4.36 3/4. New crop December, 4.60 1/4, up 1/4. March beans up 6 1/4, 11.40 1/4. May beans up 7, 11.55 3/4. New crop November, 11.21, up 3 1/2. March Chicago wheat, 5.46 1/4, up 8 1/2. March KC wheat, 5.47 1/4, up 8 1/2. March bean meal down $1.40, 304.40. March bean oil up $1.54, 58.83. Livestock trade March feeders 370.77, down 20 cents. February live cattle 246.40, down 15 cents, and April lean hogs 92.47, up 17 cents. Energy market March crude oil 64.29, up $1.96. This is the RFD Radio Network.
On the hunt for lost ROI? Chart a course and find hidden profit potential with Acuron Corn Herbicide. It's the only herbicide strong enough to bury competing weeds and help you unearth 5 to 15 more bushels per acre. How's that for hidden riches? Uncover the real value of Acuron at acuron-herbicide.com. Acuron is a restricted use pesticide. Always read and follow label instructions.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, a good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Again, Tony Harris, City Administrator, our guest in studio this morning, following up the Tuesday night Clinton City Council meeting. Tony, you talked about at the top, and I want to revisit this because I heard the mayor talk about it at the start of the year, and we haven't gotten a whole lot of an update on the block-by-block program she kind of introduced to us. First of all, remind us what this program is, what it's all about, and we'll kind of go from there.
Okay. Yeah. Well, first off, you mentioned the mayor. I need to give her credit for this because she's the one that came up with this block by block. She's the one that approached me, and she has some experience with it in Macon County. So this was all her idea, and I think it's great, and we're going to run with it. Basically, what we just take a block by block. We identify a house, we reach out to them and say, hey, we've got this program block by block. What do you need? Can we help you? Now, we don't have a clear understanding of what that's going to look like. What kind of assistance we're going to be able to provide. What we think and what Helen has talked about is identify the properties that might need some cleanup, like if there's stuff in the front yard, junk that they can't get rid of, we can help with that. A lot of the block by block is not necessarily funds, but it's labor. So we're going to be looking for volunteers. I know the power plant Constellation, they have a program where they allow their employees to participate in something like that. You know, when I was in charge of animal control, I had a lot of them that would come out there and volunteer. So that it could be a case like that where employers would allow employees to get involved in this and volunteer while on the clock with some of this stuff. So that's kind of what we talked about, that it, you know, we would identify the property and just get some labor together and go in there and help.
Okay.
You know? And I take calls all the time. You know, again, I keep mentioning this, you know, we're all about trying to get the city cleaned up. You know, we're being aggressive on some of the property that's, you know, an eyesore. People are really good and they are really on board to get it cleaned up. Even the ones that are a problem, they're like, you know, Mr. Harris, I need to get this cleaned up. I recognize that. However, I don't have the means to provide a dumpster. So, you know, right now we have to be careful with that, spending taxpayer dollar, but that could be it too. You know, it could be just as simple as they can take care of you know, the trash, that type of thing. They just need, you know, a dumpster. So maybe provide a little bit of funds to provide a dumpster. That's what I envision. So we're in the very early stages of this, but again, this is all the mayor's idea, and that's something that we're going to start at the next fiscal year. We're in the budget cycle right now. Clint has given all department heads their budget worksheets, so we're going to be working on that, and that's going to be part of it. You know, and she's mentioned that to him several times. We've got to put money in the budget for that, so that's part of it.
Yeah, sure.
So it's going to be a good program, and we will be at some point looking for volunteers to help provide that labor.
Very good. To wrap us up, I got about a minute and a half here. Call it a minute. Anything out of the meeting last night we didn't touch on you want to put out there for us there, Tony?
I know you had a crew in here, America 250. A couple of the members were in here talking about that. Very good program. Young group of people that's excited about doing that, and that is very good to see. Very good to see. So I asked the people to get involved in that and volunteer. I did want to mention, I just put out a community alert, community notification of a burn ban that Fire Chief Stephen Page put in place this morning. I put that out this morning, and that is through our community alerts called HyperReach. I encourage the citizens of Clinton to take advantage. Well, anyone in DeWitt County can take advantage of that and go to the City of Clinton's website and sign up for that. If they have questions about it, they can contact me and I can help them with that, or we can even sign them up directly in our office. So,
all right. So burn ban in place, though.
Burn ban in place for the entire day today. And sign up for community alerts through the City of Clinton. Very
good, Tony. Always good to talk to you, my friend. Thanks for making
Seth.
time for us. Yep, very good, Tony. Tony Harris, City Administrator, our guest in studio here for this morning. Morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube. Network news on the way.
The Big 1520, WHOW Clinton, along with